white only. It was the same way in the parks and the museums all over the country. All over the state. You see, in this photograph, if you go back one, the colored drinking fountain is old and rusted out and dirty, and the white-only drinking fountain is refrigerated. It's just a small example of segregation. You'll see in this slide, Negroes were not the only ones who were treated separate, who were discriminated against. It was also the Mexicans and the Spanish. If you weren't white, then you weren't right.
Tell us a little bit about your personal life. Were you married?
Yes, I was married in 1931. I was married to Mr. Raymond Parks. I called him Parks. And Parks was a huge activist and a member of the NAACP, that's the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Parks never wanted me to join the NAACP because he used to say I probably couldn't run fast enough from the podium. Nevertheless, I joined, and Parks is now with our Lord, passed away in 1977.
Did you have any children, Rosa?
No, Parks and I were never so blessed to have had children. However, we do consider all children to be our own. And that is why we co-founded the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development. And that was established to help young people have more opportunities in life.
Certainly, you have been an inspiration to all of us, including and especially the children. What do you think is important for young people to know today?
I think it's important for young people to know that believing in yourself takes courage, and facing your future takes hope. And it is my hope that young people will carry those two things in their hearts.
Now, you say courage, and that is certainly a word that is forever associated with the name Rosa Parks. Now, may I ask you, Rosa, what gave you the courage to say no and to not move to the back of that bus on December 1st, 1955 and get yourself arrested?
God has always given me the strength to do what's right. And I did not get on that bus to get arrested. I got on that bus to go home. Getting arrested was one of the worst days of my life. It was not a happy experience. However, I knew that standing up to that bus driver was the right thing to do. I had no idea that history was being made. I was just tired of giving in. So like I said, I knew that it was the right thing to do, and I did not consider the consequences. I knew that I could have been beaten, manhandled, or even lynched as others had been before me. But I had the strength of my ancestors with me.
Okay. Now, let us recount those historic turbulent moments that were leading up to the date of your arrest, December 1st, 1955. Now, Rosa, if you would please, take us on a ride on that Cleveland Avenue bus, just one more time. Now, we would like to know, what was it like for Negroes in those days who rode the buses? Do you remember that day well?
Yes, I don't believe I will ever forget that day.
Now, do you remember where you were sitting?
Yes, well, if this room were our bus, then I would have been sitting right here. You see, this is the colored section of the bus. Can everyone hear me well enough? The first 10 seats were always reserved for white folks, and that's regardless of whether there were any white folks on the bus or not. As the bus got more and more full, we would have to move further and further in the back, even if it meant that we had to stand or get off the bus and wait for the next bus to come along, and you did not get your 10 cents back.
If the bus wasn't full?
Well, if the bus wasn't full, we were still required, as if the whole front of the bus could be empty, we were still required to take a seat in the back. Also, when we boarded the buses, we had to get on the bus, pay our 10 cents there, and then turn around and get off the bus and board through the back. And that was obviously done to embarrass and humiliate us and to make us feel less equal.
How did they enforce this rule?
This was not a rule. This was the law. This was the law of the city and state of Montgomery, Alabama. And for violation of this law, you would be fined and jailed. In those days, the bus drivers actually carried pistols to show us that they really meant business.